Hello amazing artists, this is Mr. D, and for this lesson we are going to create a nature mobile. So a mobile is basically a sculpture that you can hang in the air, and it's movable so that if you hang it in the air the wind can move it. Now a famous artist that was known for creating mobiles, his name was Alexander Calder. He created a lot of famous art pieces that were known as mobiles, and you can see that I already have the pieces that we are going to need for today. So what you'll need is you'll need a longer stick and two shorter sticks that are about the same length. One can be just a little bit shorter than the other. So what you'll have to do is get an adult's permission or get an adult to go with you, and you'll just go outside, maybe right outside your house, and you can pick up some different sticks. And then I've got pine cones because I want to decorate my nature mobile with pine cones. But if you don't have pine cones in your yard, you can get any type of thing that you find in nature. So you could get leaves and create a leaf mobile. You could get flowers and create a flower mobile. So any of those, anything that you find outside will work. If you're getting pine cones, be careful because sometimes they're a little bit prickly. And I got a few little leaves that I'm also going to possibly tie to my pine cones, okay? So what you'll want to do is you'll want to go ahead and collect those things first. So you could go ahead and pause this video, go find those things, and then come back, and you'll also need some yarn or string, and you'll need some scissors, and that's all that you'll need for today. Okay, so go ahead and get an adult's permission to go outside or have an adult go with you. You can collect one longer stick, two shorter sticks, and either pine cones or leaves or flowers, whatever you find in your yard that you would want to create and make a nature mobile out of, okay? So if you can go ahead and pause the video if you need to collect those things, but now I'm going to go ahead and start. Now you'll know that we talked about a principle of design known as balance. So that's what this lesson is going to be about. It's going to be about balance. And if you remember, balance is not when both sides look the same, that's symmetry, but balance is when both sides have the same amount of weight or the same amount of stuff on them. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that one side, try to balance it out with the other side and make sure it has about just as much pine cones as the other side. Also, one side is going to have a shorter stick and the other side is going to have a shorter stick. That's why you want them to be about the same length, okay? So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take some string and I'm going to decide about how long I want my mobile to hang down. I think that I'm going to cut my string right about here, and I'm going to cut that much. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tie a string to the long stick in the center. Okay, so I'm going to take my string, find the center of the stick, of the long stick, not the two shorter sticks, and I'm going to tie a knot in the center. And then what I can do is after I've tied the knot, I can cut a little bit of that extra string off. So I'm going to cut that off. This will be the part that just hangs down, okay? So the part where and it will get more balanced once we add the other sticks, but this will just be the top. This string will be the top that we use to hang the mobile on. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our string and we have to cut two pieces of string to hang our two shorter sticks from. Now I want these to be about the same amount or the same length, these two strings. So what I'll probably do is I'll fold this piece of string in half. See how I've got two sides going there? And then cut them together so that I know both of the strings are going to be about the same size. And watch your fingers as you cut. And now I'm going to hold out my string until I get them about both sides about even. And once I do that, I know that I can come to the top right here and cut in the middle of the string, and that should give me about two equal length strings, okay? So what I'm going to do is on one side of the long stick, let me move these two sticks out of the way for the minute and these out of the way so it'll be easier to see what I'm doing. Let's move all of this. So this is my top string, right? That's going to be the top. Now I'm going to go to one side and I am going to tie this string to this side over here. Make sure it's on there good and tight so that it won't come off. And then I'm going to take my other string and I'm going to go to the right side and do the exact same thing. I'm going to tie a knot with my string just like that. Now after I've tied the knots, what I can do is just like I did with the first string that we tied for the top part, I can cut the little bit of extra string off. There we go. And now what I should have is I should have the top string and then the two strings that are hanging down. So my next step is I'm going to take one of my shorter sticks and the two strings that we just tied that are going to be facing downward, I'm going to take one of my shorter sticks and with the bottom part of one of those strings I'm going to tie it to the center of one of the shorter sticks. So I'm going to go ahead and tie this. Make sure it's on good and tight. And after I get it on good and tight, remember I can take my scissors and just cut off the little bit of extra there. Then I'm going to take my other shorter stick. For the other side, do the same thing. Find the center. Make sure it's tied on there. And then just cut off any extra right there. So now I should have my longer stick, and attached to my longer stick with string should be my two shorter sticks, okay? And I should have a string at the top of my longer stick. Now we're going to start attaching the pine cones or leaves or whatever you found outside. So I'm going to attach two strings to this short stick and two strings to this short stick because remember we want it balanced, about the same amount of weight on each side. So I'm going to go ahead, do the same thing. I'm going to fold out some string. Now I don't want these pine cones to hang down too far from these sticks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take about this much and I'm going to lay it out. Because I'm going to want the other side to be about just as long as that string. So I'm going to hold it up against this string, hold it tight, and when I get to the ends here and know how long my first string was I cut, then I can cut my second string because I want it to be about the same length. And then I'm going to just cut those strings down the middle. Okay, so these two will be for this short stick and these two will be for this short stick. So what I'm going to do is on the sides, let's do the left side first. I'm going to take this string and tie my knot. Then I'm going to do the same thing with this string. I'm going to tie my knot, and after we've tied those knots, we can cut off the extra string. I'm going to cut off the extra string on this side. So this side is complete. Here's one, and here's the other. We're going to end up tying pine cones to those in just a minute, but first let's go over to our second shorter stick and tie our two strings. So we're going to go to the left side. I'm going to tie my string around the left side and make a knot. Make sure it's on there tightly. Then go to the right side and make a knot. Make sure that you tighten it to the best of your ability. Let's go over here and cut off the parts of the yarn that we don't need. So now on the right stick, shorter stick, we've got two strings. This one and this one that we're going to attach pine cones or leaves or whatever else you found in nature to. So we're going to start with my left short stick, and we're going to go to the left side, and I'm going to attach, let's attach this pine cone to this side. Now I was lucky with this pine cone because it's got a little stem at the top that I can tie my string around. So I'm going to just tie it there. But if not, you'll just have to find a place down here to tie it around, the string around. I'm going to tie a knot. Make sure it's on there good and tight. And then I can cut off the part of the string that I'm not going to use, or that I don't really need. So I've got one pine cone tied to that. And then I'm going to take another pine cone. Let's see, I've got two attached together right here. So I'm just going to attach those two to this string. I'm going to tie a knot and make sure it's good and tight on there. And then cut off the part of the yarn that I don't need. So now we've got part of our mobile, because on that shorter stick we've got a pine cone and then a set of pine cones. So I'm going to leave that alone for a minute because we want to balance it out on this side. We want to add the same amount of weight. So that could mean that we add 3 pine cones over here, or it could mean that we add a really big pine cone to take the place of those two, and a pine cone about this size over here, and that would give it the same amount of weight as well. So let's go ahead, and on this side I'm going to add my biggest pine cone, to where if we put those two together it may be about this size. So I'm going to add my really big pine cone over here. Again, it's got a little stem, so I'm going to tie around the stem. And make sure it's on there good and tight. And after it is, I'm going to cut off that part of the yarn that I don't need. So there's one pine cone. That's about the same amount of weight as these 2 pine cones. And then I need a pine cone that's about this size on the other side. So let me see. That one looks about that size. So I'm just going to wrap around the top. Make sure it's on there good and tight. and then I'm going to cut off the remaining yarn that I don't really need. So now I've got 2 pine cones. So what you have at the end, and I'll take a picture of this because it's not all going to show up on the screen, but you're going to have a mobile that you can hang up anywhere that you want to hang it, and it will blow in the wind. So I will take a picture and attach it, a picture of this finished mobile, and I'll attach it to the end of this video so that you can see the finished product. And I hope you all have an awesome rest of your day, and goodbye. So there is my mobile, and it's hanging up and it's moving in the wind. Hope you all have an awesome rest of your day, and goodbye.